Josh, welcome to the Gateway. Thanks so much for being here.
Hello, Russ. How are you?
I am good. I am very excited to have you. And I know Chad the Bird will be joining us a little bit later, but
Yeah,
I
he's
think,
around here somewhere. We'll get to him.
okay. All right. Like those celebrities, they always have a little bit of a delay to
He's
them.
late. He's in traffic.
I'm gonna ask him what kind of car he drives because I feel like as a bird, it's a very important thing to understand. So, but before we get that, I wanna kind of focus on who you are and where you're coming from. So, as always, I like to start these at the beginning. What's your background? Where are you? How are you where you are at this point right now?
Well, I'm not far from you. I'm in Chicago,
Yeah.
actually.
Nice. Okay.
And yeah, Iowa by way of Boston, by way of LA, by way of Chicago. So like born in New Jersey, moved to LA, moved to Iowa when I was 2. So I really can't claim to be a Jerseyite, but my whole family's East Coast. Iowa growing up East Coast family in like Lutheran Midwestern Iowa kind of I feel like is necessary to explain where I'm coming from because like my whole family, East Coast Jews across the board, born, raised, confirmed, bar mitzvah across. You can't get, it's just this, unless you found me in a river somewhere, you can't get more Jewish than me. And it sounds darker when you say it like that. No, right. I mean, unless you find me in a basket woven by my mother in a river somewhere. Damn. Anywho, yeah, no. So grew up in Iowa, but that's important because like Iowa is a very conservative, but at the time mildly progressive, but conservative town. And I grew up with East Coast parents, East Coast relatives. Every holiday was spent New York, Massachusetts. So I was very loud and obnoxious to everyone around me, but to me, I was reserved because of the people I grew up with who have we have a, I think part of the culture is to just say what's on our mind and question each other and that kind of stuff. But like growing up in Iowa, everything's just like, oh, okay then. And you're like, oh, I guess we're done talking. Usually in my family, there's more talking. Okay. So I grew up feeling like I was always crazy and just like, oh, I must be nuts. But then you go to the East Coast and feel a little bit more at home. So I went to Boston for school. Then I lived there for a couple of years. And then I moved to Chicago because it's a nice melding of the two.
Yeah.
And then like LA for a little bit in there just because I needed some context. Because every time I was talking about going to the arts, they're like, oh, yeah, don't go to LA. And I was like, but why though? And people were like, it's terrible. I'm like, yeah, but why though? And no one would explain why. So I went for 2-3 years and, would go back and forth. And it's fine. I like seasons changing, grew up in the Midwest, so I need winter. And that would be why I came here. So went to school out there, but an actor, voice actor in Chicago was the most of what I do. And that's that. Yeah. Chicago is just like, is a confident forward city with that kind of brashness that I'm used to from like the East Coast world, but it's also a Midwestern town at its heart, which is what I'm comfortable existing in. So like, that was the nice pairing of the two.
Yeah. Now, Josh, did you figure out why LA is terrible and horrible, or do you have a different?
No, I loved LA. I go back whenever I can. I have a lot of friends out there. I just thought that LA it wasn't my speed. Like there's a certain like, it's not vacation-y because everybody's very active. That was one of my big surprises in LA was how health conscious everybody is, but not in that like frou-frou way that we see on TV where everyone's just like wheatgrass shots and I don't eat food, I just drink it. They're like, no man, they hike. You get up in the morning and you move, man. And sure, because you're driving everywhere, you got to walk. And so I'm so used to walking everywhere because I'm out in Chicago. So I loved all of that, but I just didn't like, I don't know. It's such a specific vibe that I didn't connect with because everybody was like, why are you so uptight? Right. And I'm like, I'm not uptight. I'm fine. I'm actually calm,
Right.
It was Ren and Stimpy. It's like Stimpy's just like, why are you so mad? And Ren's just like, I like being angry. It's fun. That's where I exist.
Josh, anyone who can make a Ren and Stimpy reference is definitely a friend of mine. And
right on, man.
Yes, I love that. So is voice acting first of all, let's define that. What does that exactly mean? Because when I hear that, I'm thinking you do bear commercials for Advil and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's part of it, right?
That's exactly what it is.
Okay. Okay.
You know, commercial voice acting is what I do. And that's a lot of tags on audio commercials, on auto commercials, and on game commercials. Like anytime you see at the end somebody just be like low APR financing, blah blah blah, that's usually what I'm doing.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
I think voice acting is a little different. That's games and movies and character work, which I get called in for, but I don't normally get. Usually I'm the guy that comes in that's just like, because I can read copy really fast, so I can do like the I'm not bragging. This is like a thing I didn't know I had. I'm not sitting here. It's like, because I can read this limited time offer faster than most humans. Like, no, man, I can do that. And so I get called in to read these like really fast warnings at the end of things, or like deals. It's mostly deals and tags is what it is.
I see. Is that as you're reading those, are there things that you're like, what did I just say? Like, hold on. I know.
Oh man, we did a car ad not too long ago where I was reading all the tags, and it's all just the APR financing thing, which is like low APR financing. And at one point we were in the middle of it, and I was just like, hey, Scott, you know, the engineer, right? Because you have to just be like, Scott, what does APR financing mean? Like,
like I have no clue.
I don't know what this is. I can't buy a car. I'm not gonna have one. What does this mean? So yeah, it's always fun. I'll have to call the creatives or something like that and be like, can you pronounce the name of this model? Tiburon? Am I saying it right?
Tiburon. Nice.
Not a car guy. Don't know enough about cars.
I'm enjoying this thoroughly, Josh. So as we're kind of then shifting to where you're at, how for those of you that are listening, Josh is really good friends with Chad the Bird, who is, I would call him an eccentric stand-up poet, just philosopher almost. Is that a fair?
I think it's interesting that people go philosopher stand-up with Chad. I think that like I think part of the reason why stand-up comes up is because he's in front of a crowd and he's talking to people and he's making jokes in quotation marks, but you know, never really the intention, right? Because like I don't even think philosopher is the right thing. From the beginning with that, you know, it was I think I can speak for Chad on this one. Just you know, having worked and done his finances. In the beginning, it was we wanted, it was always like I just want to be a character, right? I just want to be a personality, right? Like an MTV VJ, which shows you how old I am. but like you know, because knowing at the time, like because this was in LA really when we kind of got started working.
I see. Okay.
It was, how do we do like live, because live video was the platform at the time, and it was mostly like cam girls and you know, stock market stuff. And I knew a lot of, you know, good friends of mine that were a lot of both of those things, and they were like, hey, there's this thing, live video, you should get in on it. And this is like pre-channel 101, which is like Dan Harmon and all those guys, which I actually did, I find out later, were a bunch of extras in a short that we shot with Chad. So at one point Chad was adjacent to like Rick and Morty, and I had no idea.
Nice. That's cool. Okay.
Decades after that, right? So it's this like they were like, well, you know, you could just be a personality, you know, you just chat with people online and blah blah blah. And so we did that for a little while, and it was fine. It was a lot of fun. And then come back to Chicago and looking to do something new. And there was a former critic for Time Out. His name was Chris Pyatt, who saw what I was doing, a new Friends on Friends, and was like, hey, do you know, you should bring Chad over and have him do something for this show I'm working on, which is a live magazine in that like This American Life meets Prairie Home Companion, dating myself, podcast style op-eds about news stories. I mean, it's the Daily Show. It's essentially the Daily Show, but live, like in front of people. Everybody comes in they get assigned a topic like a journalist would, and you read your op-ed to the crowd that's in front of you. So it's like an afternoon day drinking, get your news. Russ, you should come to Chicago. It's every Saturday at 3:00.
Very cool.
At the Green Mill. And what the concept is that Chad is the avian op-ed columnist. So he's like the word from the birds. Like, so he would get assigned a news story and then write an op-ed about it, which is what you most often see on TikTok and Instagram and that kind of stuff. It's clips from that show because we do it every Saturday. And so I have all this material. And it's funny watching people on YouTube being like, this is the best stand-up I've ever seen. I'm like, is it though? Is that what I'm doing? Because I get called in to do stand-up clubs and it does not work.
Interesting. Okay.
At all. And so I had to, if I get called in to do stand-up stuff, it'll have to be, I have to rewrite, I have to rethink what I'm doing. For the most part, the stuff that really shines is when he's asked to like do science explainers or or breakdowns of things, because that's just kind of what we've been doing, which lends itself, I think, really well to YouTube and things like that. But when it comes to like doing live shows, it's tricky because the show that we've been doing for so long is like, here's something I was assigned last night that I read about and that you don't know about, or we assume you don't know about. And then I'm going to do it. So very Seth Meyers, Closer Look, very John Oliver, that kind of stuff. So when those guys started doing those things, we had to look at like what they were saying about topics, because I would end up being assigned the same topic as these guys. So you have to like, all right, well, what are they saying? Because, they're the goats and you have to make sure that you're not like chipping from them or something like that. Right. But like I don't know is the short answer. Is it stand up? Is it philosophizing? I don't know. It's sort of its own. It's spoken word, I think, if anything, is what I would look at it as.
Yeah, and that's where I was really pulled towards that, especially when you very quickly can identify that you're at the Green Mill, which has the right. incredible history with spoken word and slam poetry and all of that stuff. So I think some of it, Chad and the work you two are doing together are really kind of just a continuation of an evolution that has started specifically at the Green Mill a long time ago. Do you think that has allowed do you think people are more willing and accepting for what you're doing there because of the space, because of what that is, or you think it's just kind of a continuation and it doesn't really matter?
I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both, right? Because I think expectation is key, right?
Right.
If you go into Zanies and this, person gets up there and is just like, so in the news today, blah, 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 and there's no jokes, you're immediately going to be going like, throw a pie or like do something funny or get off the stage or something like that. And I think that is a lot of it. But where I think that theory gets widgy is now we're doing it online. And people are identifying it. Like you'll see in the comments, like, this is spoken word. This is not stand up. And I'm like, yes, that is correct. And like, especially on YouTube where you get the full, 10 minutes on there. So you can kind of see what I'm writing and how the flow works. I get more comfortable, I think, when being like in the same boat as like Brabiglia or older guys like Lenny Bruce, which is a big influence of mine, and like that kind of extemporary. Carlin is another one. Carlin, they keep talking about how like, oh yeah, Carlin was a joke machine. I'm like, was he? I don't know if I agree with that.
Right.
I think Carlin was the spoken word artist.
And and he asked for your attention.
Yes.
For like 10 minutes, and I'm going to get you there. I'm going to give you all the dopamine you need, but you're going to have to go on this journey with me first.
Exactly. Well, because he said, I think the best advice I ever got was from someone I never got to meet, was George Carlin. And he said in an interview, he's like, wow, you open their mouth with jokes and then you shove the truth in. And I was like, that's kind of what like Bruce did and Bill Hicks and all those guys. It was just like, I'm going to go off on something crazy for a little bit and you're going to take the ride because I'm very animated and very angry about something. And then I'll get to my point. And that's kind of what it is that we're doing. It's not new. It's been around forever. I just don't think that it doesn't have the Kevin Hart, cut off, set up punchline. That's not what we're doing. And all of my good friends that are stand-ups that are all over the board, that are all, professionals, all say the same thing. They're like, it's not stand-up. And that's not a bad thing. They always want to have me come on and do alt comedy stuff. And then they're always like, well, we'll never book you at the Comedy Store. It's never going to work over there. And I'm like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. So it is or rather, they'll never book Chad at the Comedy Store. But yeah, that's sort of like, I think it's an interesting experiment in performance now when we talk about it, just based on like, what is the vibe? And I'm like, it's a bunch of different things. It's complicated.
Yeah. Now, Josh, within our podcast, a lot of times we try and look at technology and kind of how that's affecting a lot of things. And I think between Biagio and myself, we talk a lot of times about creator culture and how that is its own industry and has been for a while, but it's ever changing. Do you? And I want to talk to Chad about this too, but do you?
It's
do
always
you,
like being in like like when someone's possessed. They're like, can I talk to Chad? Can
right?
you take
Is
over
he
the
in the
body?
room right
Is
now?
he in the room with you right now? He's over in the corner.
A candle just blew out behind me and I didn't even have one lit. That was weird.
Eyes roll back.
Right. But is that an interesting thing for you as someone who is in the arts and within that stuff, that sometimes you you can invest a whole lot more time on a platform and get, I would say, more feedback, more reaction, more validation, a larger audience than sometimes doing the actual traditional performance. Does that then pull from you? Does that split, that you're like, I might as well just sit here and go live on TikTok because I get more feedback? Or do you still want that live, that human to human interaction?
So it's funny that you bring this up. It's not funny. It's psychologically traumatizing. No, it's interesting that you bring this up, like, because we've been talking about that a lot. Me and not just me and Chad, but me and people that are helping me do all this stuff. Is this what I want to do? Do we want to go? Because I want to go on tour next year. Is the big push is that in 2023 we want to start doing clubs and like kind of doing like a grassroots. We're treating it like Chad for president kind of thing, but we're obviously
Nice.
not running for office. It's just more like we're going to take
I
that.
mean, I feel
Do I
like
want that
that's
responsibility though? Because that's the other half of that conversation. We did a bit where Chad ran for alderman and everyone's like, "I'd vote for you." I'm like, "Please don't do that. No,
this is not funny anymore.
no,
We
it's
need
not.
you.
I saw that episode of Black Mirror. I don't want that, and you don't want that either. You want me talking about it. You don't want me running anything. Yeah. So like, because in the end, they will never make a talking bird, any kind of something. It'll always be the human handler that has to do the job. And I don't want to do that. But yeah, no, I think that like we would treat it like that kind of grassroots running around campaigning kind of situation like they used to do back in the day. And we would just road trip it just because that's a romantic thing I've always kind of wanted to do. But I think that speaks to what we've been dealing with, because when lockdown happens, 2020, the blip,
Right.
when everything shifted and suddenly we lost all the jobs because we
Mhm.
had, up until that point, I've been doing with Chad the Green Mill every Saturday since 2010, right?
Wow.
Unless I was working on a show, or unless I was out of town, or I was on a shoot or something like that.
Mhm.
On occasion, I do get to do my own thing. Just saying. But for the most part, yeah, the majority of the time was spent every Saturday doing that show, and that's a significant source of my income. That was a significant source of my creative output. And, that's a lot for somebody who's used to doing anybody who's used to doing a job that they enjoy. All of a sudden, when it's snatched away in 24 hours, it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
And so we didn't know what to do. And it was like, oh, maybe now is the time we finally start doing YouTube stuff and check out Instagram and like, let's see what this TikTok is all about. And like, on what's online dating. And so there was like a lot of that for a couple of months. And then that kicked forward and started making a thing. And I don't know if it's either or. I think it's both. I think that there's, and this is after all of this. And the reason I'm prefacing all this is because I'm like, I'm still new. Like it was about, oh gosh, it was almost a year ago, October, that TikTok started for me.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it's funny because sometimes I'll get interviews and stuff and they're like, oh man, you've been doing this forever. I'm like, I've been doing this forever, not TikTok. TikTok
Yeah.
is maybe 11 months of my life so far. And that happened real fast. And like, because it's the internet. And I think that kind of opened up a lot of windows. Like, hey man, this is a great way for us to do stuff for people that can't come to Chicago and see what we're up to and see like what the art that we're presenting.
Mhm.
And then it became like, well, but you can just do this, and then that's it. You don't ever have to leave your home. And I don't think I personally enjoy that. I like being in front of people. I like doing this. I like the reactions, because then there's more. You hear subtle nuances that you don't really hear through the comment section on a TikTok. Plus, less people telling me what I was doing wrong, which is also really nice because the internet is great for people giving opinions as well as receiving them. Because you can't turn your comments off or you look like a jerk. So like you just kind of have to sit there and go, okay, you're right. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. Sure. It takes zero effort for you to dog on me. But like that's just a different vibe. That's just a different flavor of what we're doing. So like I think there's just really, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but there's just nothing like the real thing, right? Like a McDonald's hamburger is lovely, but when you make it yourself, it's different. So I think being live is like home cooking, and I don't mind that. But that being said, I also love doing video work. So like all the like, what I wanted to do, as a producer on this Chad experience is give Chad more things. Like I want him to do a TV show. I want him to do, segments for productions and things like that. And it's never that stuff that gets picked up the hardest on the internet. It's always live recordings of these bits that get the most attention. And so sort of using that to further this other process that we're working on, it's still going to be like, people are going to still want to see that. So I think it's both. I think it just kind of just depends on what flavor you want.
And I want to jump in the conversation because again, Russ is right. Technology is my passion, and we always think about how can disrupt the world, how can change the world. So the pandemic, I was expecting to kind of digitize or disrupting in a way that you guys can continue working while you didn't have the chance to be live. But I'm curious to think about if you are considering bringing your show in something like the metaverse, like in a virtual experience, so where it's like more like the real deal, but it's not really the real deal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny because the piece I just put up on YouTube from last week was about the metaverse, which it's funny that you bring it up because I don't know. I don't know if Chad works as well as anything other than that experience. I don't know. We have a YouTube show that we do once a month that we've been on a hiatus for a little bit, but it's, coming back in October, where it's like a Saturday morning cartoon show, but Chad is hosting it. And the whole concept is Chad has hijacked all the Wi-Fi in the building, and he keeps getting kicked off the Wi-Fi by other people in the building, and the other people in the building are other comedians and YouTubers. Toilet Tea Papers on there sometimes, and name drop. And we stream it live. So I think there is something there because now that we have this, a buddy of ours, his name is Ross Gerbasi, he runs Threaded Films. And that's this awesome streaming studio out here in Chicago that is designed so that you can do high level production value, but in a streamer sense. So we have a set, we have a green screens, we have like professional lighting, we have all the, and if you go to the YouTube, you can find it. The show's just called Chad the Bird. I think we have 12 episodes of it, and it's kind of got like a liquid television, again, dating myself, but like very old school MTV 90s frenetic energy kind of situation. I think that kind of thing is where I want Chad to be. I can maybe see him if like you're in the metaverse and you've got a little TV and you're watching him on the TV. I just don't know if a digital Chad works or not, because we've never actually tried that, but I think within the construct, sure, why not? Like, let's have him be like the host of, I think he would work really well if you were in a virtual space, in a like a virtual museum kind of explainer situation where you can actually look at the space shuttle from inside the space shuttle, and the whole time you've got a little monitor, Portal 2 style character floating around you, and that's Chad in a little television broadcast, and you're like, this is where the rocket ship, this is where the engine is, this is where this thing is. I think that works really well. As sort of a tour guide, I can see that. But again, don't know, haven't tried, why not? And there's no reason why we can't. I just don't think that like that extemporaneous conversation is enough to sustain you in that. I think we need to be doing other things. Like I would love. And if anybody out there is working in the metaverse and would love to try this, please hit me up to do like a little tour of like space. And Chad is in a little floating bubble, just kind of always at your periphery, and like kind of like a Clippy. If you like pop up like, oh, I see you're studying Saturn. Would you like to know more? Don't worry about it. And then he floats away and he gets indignant because you didn't click on him or something like that. Like I could see that happening a lot. Or you're in a spaceship and Chad is the voice of your pilot or something like that. And so every now and then he pops up on the screen to be like, yeah, we have a little bit of turbulence coming up or something like that. I always see him more as like a guide to something bigger than the main event himself.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to, if Chad's around, I know I'm not sure if he made it through traffic yet, but
no, he's in the green room.
Oh, okay. All right, perfect. I think that would be, as someone who works at a university and is sponsored by that would be absolutely awesome to have Chad the Bird come and actually lead a tour of our campus around. I think that would be fun. So maybe 100%. We can. Okay, if you have a connection with Chad, maybe we can make that happen in the future.
We'll get the emails going. You know
okay.
how it goes.
I know. Of course.
No, but I think that's an interesting question that you brought up, man. Like I don't know. I think that like because we're melding these worlds right now, there's a little bit of both going on. So like I want you to experience this in the face. I want Chad to pop up in your town and do like a set and really kind of Carlin this thing. Like my favorite Carlin bits from back in the day were him in the 70s in these like gymnasiums with like 100 kids just kind of sitting around him, just being like, all right, here's what I gotta say. And like I feel like that's like stumping. Like I feel like that's kind of Chad's deal. And then if you plug him into the internet, the possibilities are endless, and he can explain anything. But I just don't know if visually it's him just talking to you. I think it needs to be him around you, flying around you, being part of the experience. So yeah, that's my final word on that, man.
Perfect. I love that, and I'm very excited to see what happens. But is it possible to bring him out of the green room? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Let me get him over here. He's been a bit of a tour fatigue. Getting him out here. You want to come in, or what's going on, man? Hang on. No, just a minute. I don't know where the chips are. So like I was thinking maybe that'd be. Oh no. Okay, fine. What's going on, everybody? Wait, is this on?
Yeah, Chad, we hear you. Chad, welcome.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is sorry, it's a little early for me. So like I'm like, cause like I go ham, man. And like I don't care what you say. If it's a Tuesday night or a Saturday night, we're gonna go ham. And I think that's just because it's that time of the year. It's like getting on fall. Hey, what's going on with the camera, man? Why is it broken? Make it look better.
I think you look better. I think you look amazing, Chad.
You look amazing, right?
Thank you. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here.
So we're recording audio. So I would really
such a good thing for like an audio cast. Be like, hey, let's make some film jokes.
Right. Exactly.
What's with the camera? You at home can see.
So I want you to, for a moment of self-reflection, describe what you look like what you think you look like.
Oh, can I swear on this, or we want to keep it PG?
You can. You are more than welcome.
I look all right. So a part of me, I dress like I was an extra in Office Space, and I look like a whipped, like just like I look like I just got off of work constantly. Like I just need a minute. Like I think everybody's got like resting bitch face or whatever you say. I've got resting hang on a second face. Like hang on, just give me a minute. And I look like a banana fucked a fry kid, if you know what those references are. I'm pink, I'm yellow beaked. I've got these like crazy carnival circus arms that are like really stringy, befeathered, and I've got white glovey hands because I'm an abomination. And sleepy stoner eyes. So yeah, I'm a bird in a suit. Well, not in a suit because I don't have a jacket. So like I'm a bird in in office attire, but my colors are pink and yellow, so you know I'm cool.
I definitely think you are very cool. And Chad, again, I'm very grateful for you taking time and being here with us today. I want to try and identify maybe some lore about you. Is there a specific bird you identify as?
Wait. Did you freeze?
No, I might have. So
Oh. Do I identify as? Oh, okay. I thought you were like
yes.
gonna say like as a mentor, as
No,
a
no, like
teacher, a
physically, are you
familiar.
a toucan? Yeah,
Oh,
familiar.
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Am I okay? Okay. No, all right. So I don't know. I've been asked this before. People always say like, humans are always you got to label things or
yes.
else you don't know because you
Right,
don't have any context. Things just can't be what they are. You have to like, oh, but historically, what kind of a bird are you? Which I think is the equivalent of asking somebody like, where are you from? And
right.
then them being like Toledo, and you're like, no, where are you really from? And you're like, where is this going? Um, yeah, no, I always tell people I'm just high, but like I think the closest thing you can get is like that flamingo, toucan. I probably have some tropical bird. I want to believe I got some like hornbill or shoe hornbill bird in there somewhere. So you have to like fucking respect me when we talk. Like I love those birds on YouTube because they're like you have to bow to gain this bird's like favor. And I'm like, yeah, you should be doing that. You see a pigeon on the street, get on your knees. You can't fly. We're your gods. We're related to dinosaurs. What do you got? Yeah, I don't know. I think tropical in some form, probably back in the protozoan days. I like to think that I'm related to like raptors or something, but it'll probably be end up something stupid like, oh, you're related to the Flophosaurus. They were these tiny little bug-like dinosaurs that didn't really go anywhere, and they just kind of like hung out and party, which is kind of cool, kind of like a hobbit in that respect. But yeah, definitely a tropical bird in some way.
All right. So thank you for that. Now, one thing that I really wanted to get out of this conversation is as a member of the avian phylum, I guess we could say.
Yeah, I think we're a phylum.
Yeah, I think so. That came out of nowhere, and I think my middle school science teacher would be really proud of me. Is there something that you would like us humans to know when you have the perspective of a bird? Is there something that we're missing and we should try and identify?
Yeah. Learn how to drive. None of you are nailing it. None of you. I'm looking at all of you. Everyone. I don't care what your credentials are. I don't care if you've done a defensive driving course, who's got that kind of money. Learn how to drive. Like you've got these awesome buggies that'll get you from like, you even have roller coasters that can go from 0 to 149 miles an hour in 4.9 seconds, not responsible with them at all. You need to get your shit together there, people. Seriously. You're good with planes pretty much for the most part. You got that going on. You got that on lock. You're good with space. None of my relatives ever made it that far. Well done. But as far as like the on the ground, like boots on the ground shit, no, man. Learn how to drive.
Thank you.
Because you're doing it poorly. And that's the one thing we're all noticing from up in the sky, like looking down. We're like, they walk well. They even run well. They don't drive well.
I actually never
The
really...
merging lane is for merging. Traffic signals are not suggestions. Okay? That's why you got the law. Oh, but I don't like being told what to do. Yeah, you do. When you're going 90 miles an hour and you're trying to get, yeah, absolutely you need to be told what to do. You can't think that fast. You're not a mantis or whatever those things are, the mantis that knock the shit out of shrimps and eat them. The rainbow mantis. You're not that fast. So yeah, learn. That's what I figure.
All right. I never really think of us driving from a high up view. So yeah,
no,
that's
you
probably...
don't because you're right there.
Right,
You're in the middle of it.
Like I'm doing just fine. You're
No,
like,
you're
you're
not.
not.
I promise you. Even if you're like coasting at 70 miles an hour on the fucking Ventura Highway, you're not killing it because people have places to go. You want to coast, do it on a country road, all by your lonesome, like 6 o'clock in the morning in your Lexus, like a commercial, like Matthew McConaughey said. Only good driver in human history is Matthew McConaughey.
So is there something that you are not interested in? Like as a topic, if someone would be like, "Hey, I'm really like motivated by this, or I'm moved by this, I'm passionate about this," and you're like, "Nah, that ain't
I
for
mean,
me."
like of any topic, like
Yeah,
in general.
yeah,
Well, I mean, being a Nazi, not cool with it.
yeah.
I
That's a
have to
good.
say that now because like that's the internet, baby. You have to preface it because we're just like, oh, but like you could go on Nazi Talk and really get to know some stuff. I'm like, why do we have that? I thought you humans spent a good couple of years saying, nah, we're not gonna do that. Yeah, so that'd be one big time, not being racist, homophobic, transphobic, any kind of phobic in general, except for like water phobic. I do not like the idea of being in the ocean. I like being on the ocean. I'm not getting in there. But I'll talk about fish. I don't know. I feel like American politics is a place that I just am. People ask me all the time on TikTok, on Instagram, YouTube especially. When are you going to drop some hot Ted Cruz takes? I'm like, Ted Cruz is doing a pretty good job of doing that himself, and I don't think he needs my help. So yeah, no, not really a big fan of getting into the American political landscape right now because it's not very. I mean, it's interesting in a bad way. It's not as interesting as like the Australian political landscape where they're like, we have a million parties and they can be whatever you want. I think that shit's cool. In America, I don't dig on partisanship and nationalism in general.
So I've heard just some soft rumblings that you might be thinking of a maybe a presidential run in
Okay,
2024.
okay,
Is
hold
that
on.
is can you release that
I
here?
can neither
Declare
confirm nor deny that I might, because apparently anyone can. First of all,
right.
but second of all, I think let me start with Alderman first, and we'll get to the presidential run. All right. So for those of you out there that know what I'm talking about when it comes to the Alderman thing, I missed the deadline for putting in my application to run for 2023, but that's not going to stop us. We're gonna push forward. So you'll hear more Alderman things from me. Viva the 69th Ward. Nice. The idea of running a country, I played like I couldn't even handle Sim City. So like the idea of me doing that in the real with an entire country just terrifies me. I'm very small, and I think that's just too much for me. I'll run your game night. That's cool. I'll plan a party. That's all right. I'll stump if I really think that somebody's out there doing the right thing. I'll stump for you, but that's it. Don't give me. I don't want to do that much math. I just want to be Captain Ron, selling surfboards, making money, going on adventures,
I
meeting
love it.
Martin Short.
I love it. I love it. Is
Yeah.
there Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead, Biagio.
no, I had a question for him. I just like want to know what you think about your audience. Like, is your audience live and your other audience on the internet like the same? How do you perceive them?
That's an interesting question. Thank you. I think that when I'm live, most of the humans I'm performing in front of are drunk, so they remember like 30% of what I'm saying. So that would be like the big divide, is that they'll like remember like one key phrase, and then that'll be what I get hit with the next time I show up. But if it's on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, it's always something I don't expect that somebody gloms onto, like that I say that like I didn't even realize was a thing. So I think it's like attention span because with the internet you can go back and rewatch it and pick up on stuff that even I didn't even know I was doing. So I get like a more scrutinizing crowd. But yeah, I mean, there's the difference is like I think consumption, like also the hour of the day you're watching it, because I have no idea when people are watching it on the internet, even the analytics, which are just nonsense. I seriously, you're in colleges, talk to your students about getting better analytics for everything, because it is straight trash. All of it's bad. I'm looking
Chad,
at all of it.
You may not be aware, but that is primarily what our department and in our area is.
All right, guys. All right, good. Couple of questions.
Go for it. Yes, go.
Oh my God. First of all, TikTok is a friggin' mess. Second of all, YouTube might be the best one right now as far as like, here's when people are watching. Here's where your For You page comes from, blah, 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 blah. But like, why is it like trying to find the fucking arc? Why do I feel like Indiana Jones just trying to find out who's watching my shit? Why can't it just be like, here it is, there it is? Because I know it exists. I know it's real. But like I have to turn 2 keys at the same time. I have to like know a password that I get from a friend. I have to be invited into an inner circle, and then I have to be on like one emailing list just to find out the age group of the humans that are watching my videos. Why does it have to be so secret? Why? Why do I have to fight for the nuclear code? I guess, which is apparently not so hard to do these days. Can't make that joke anymore. But like, yeah, why do I have to like have a level 9 clearance to find out what my analytics are?
Is there something that you would really like to find? Are all like nuclear codes aside and the process within
Well, I
the
mean,
stuff,
if I wanted the nuclear code, it's not hard to find. You just there's a couple of places in Florida that you can go and hang out and check under the bed and you'll find them. They're behind the radiator.
but is there something about your audience you would like, if you could ask any question and get the answer, is there a question you would really like to know regardless of the actual feasibility of acquiring that?
What time, what day is the best time to post
Ah.
anything? How long? What time? Like, that's all I need to know. I mean, I feel like getting to know like the majority of the audience would be really cool, just to see like where are people watching me from. But that I feel like you can kind of glean from like the comments, because you can always tell when it's somebody who's like from Indiana versus somebody who's from like Argentina, because there's a language barrier, but there's also like there's also not a language barrier. Somebody speaking Spanish, somebody speaking English, somebody speaking German. So you kind of glean where the general vibe is. You can also tell when it's a dude, but like also, I would love to know like what time like the majority of the people are on, so that I can make sure that when I post something, it's hitting everybody at once. And also would love to know like how long people are actually going to sit and watch this stuff for. Because like YouTube, I get it, you could watch 6 hours, and I have done that myself. But like TikTok is like, you could do 10 minutes now, and I'm like, why would anyone watch a 10-minute TikTok? What are you doing? What are you doing? And Instagram, I get it, there were supposed to be pictures, but now it's videos, so I don't really understand it. So I think like amount of time and what time of day is the ultimate question, and it shouldn't be that hard.
Chad,
I agree with you.
Who benefits from me not knowing?
There should be at least an API that allows you to get those data. I'll look into it. Okay.
Thank
Don't get
you.
angry. All right.
I'm sorry. You're right. It's early.
Chad, I think you might have just made a really good partner in this one, because we have many students that would be very interested in doing some research
Call
for
me,
you.
DM. Don't even DM me. Call me.
Okay, deal. We will
Get
do
confident.
that.
Get
Watch it when you are presenting at a analytics conference and a very highly renowned journal as Chad the Bird with some of our professors and students. I think our world will shift dramatically.
Oh, please. I don't know. I don't know if I love the internet, obviously, because the internet is where I live and it's also where I learn. But like it is, I don't understand the gatekeeping thing, because I thought we agreed that the internet was for everybody, which is why it's like mostly the bathroom wall at like a gas station. Because like, but you do learn some things sometimes from the bathroom wall at a gas station. Like you go in there and you'll see something, you're like, oh, I never really thought about that. And then you think about it all day. And it's just some pithy thing. Like, I love that you can go into a Michael's and you can get like, live, laugh, love. And you're like, the fuck does that mean? But you go into like a gas station off of like I-80, and it's just like, hey man, you're reading the wall while you're rocking a piss. And it's just like, hey man, sometimes things aren't so bad. And you're like, you know what, wall? You're right. Sometimes things aren't so bad. I mean, you got to get past all the like swastikas and weird dick drawings, but get there. But like, that's the internet. And that's why I love it.
Chad, is there? I know you have to get going.
Yeah, I'm very busy.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. Is there a way that you would like us to follow you, to find you, to support all of your wonderful political ambitions, whether you do or do not actually run?
Please don't. I'm not gonna run. I don't like
I
to
mean,
do that.
I mean, the minute you say you don't, I feel like that is the first step to actually declaring your candidacy. So
yeah, no, I guess I can't get away from it. Okay. I don't know, man. I'm on TikTok, which is Chad the Bird Talk, which is TOK, not TALK, because I thought I was being clever, and then I confused an entire like generation apparently. And then Instagram, it's Chad Bird with a U. because there's a Chad Bird already out there who I am not. And if you find him, you will know why. I think that's funny because I am the exact opposite of Chad Bird on the Instagram. And then Facebook, I still use it because, you know, like my dad's around or something. You gotta keep your aunt involved in like what you're doing, because like your mom wants to know what you're up to, and Facebook's perfect for that. So that's just Chad the Bird. And also, you know, I got rid of Twitter just because I don't think in like bits. I don't know if you've noticed. I have to like, it takes me a bit. My mind does not have a character count like that, so I'm not on Twitter. I know that's ironic, but no. And then YouTube. YouTube's where I feel like the big stuff happens. And that's just Chad the Bird. But if you want to email me some ideas, thebirdchad@gmail.com. That's my whole internet footprint. See, you pay money for a algorithm machine to figure out it's just software to figure out like all of those things. Like, where's your footprint? I just did it for you right here. Boom. I just told you. That's my business card. It's not, you don't even need a QR code. Just ask me. I'll lay it. You won't remember, but I will lay it down for you.
Chad, I absolutely love that stuff. And for all of our listeners, we'll post all of those links to
link tree, please. Use your link trees. There's nothing wrong with them. It's not spam. It's just helpful.
Chad, this has been very informative. I've truly enjoyed our time together, and I think Josh actually had to head out a little bit. But if you can pass along our gratitude to him.
One sec. Hey, they did it. You did great. No, you did great. He's fine. He heard me.
Thanks, Chad. This was so much fun, and I'm sure we'll be in contact. We have a couple of projects to do for you, and we need to bring you out to campus to have you do some tours for us and maybe interact with some of our students.
Can I do like can I come? Is there like a bar that all the students hang out? I'll do like 10 minutes.
Actually,
come do that. Yeah.
Actually, yeah. It's Fatty's. They have amazing potato salad and all that stuff. So yeah, for real, we let me get on that if you're serious about that.
I am serious about that.
Okay, all right. We'll try and get that stuff.
This
out
was
there
my serious face. This is a great joke for a podcast, right? Yeah,
Chad, we will be in touch more. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye, guys.
Bye.